Beautiful track lately. Made me think, of course, of Janet Jackson's "What Have You Done For Me Lately."
Yeah.
Even the chorus is the same. That's no coincidence, probably.
Yeah, I knew about that. I wrote this song without knowing about that song.
Really?
I really did. Even though I'm a Janet Jackson fan, I swear I didn't know about that song. And then someone pointed it out to me, a friend of mine who's a producer. I played the song for him, and he was like, "Uh-oh, I'll play you the song." And I listened, and I loved the song, the Janet Jackson song, but I felt like it was so different melodically, and that is such a common phrase that it felt like fair.
Is it about splitting up in the band? Because I mean, I got some lyrics here. You never like how my song sounds when they sing along. Well, that was my song, so this is
Yeah.
like a bad band split up.
Yeah, that is definitely part of it, but it was about other relation layers of relationships too, and kind of my relationships mostly with men, just basically feeling like not seen or heard or appreciated in the labor that I was putting in, and I felt like I just wasn't getting out of anything out of certain relationships, and it was because of these structures that are built into our lives and allow women to do a lot of emotional labor and other kinds of labor without having it be acknowledged, and that's just sort of normal. And I felt like I was just living that with my label, with my managers, with my bandmates, with my romantic relationships. I got to a point where I was like, oh, I've established this really unhealthy way of being in relationships where I'm not quite getting what I need out of it, but I feel like I'm exhausted from how much I'm giving and no one even appreciates it. So I'm just going to stop and
So
see what that
did you
feels
ever,
like.
but did you ever wonder, like, how did I get here? How did I get into this situation?
Yeah, I did. I thought a lot about it. I think it's partly cultural and societal. Like, there's patterns, and I think that part of it isn't necessarily specific to my situation, but I do think I also have a tendency to create that dynamic, and I think I've just seen that a lot in my life with my parents and my mom. I grew up with a single mom, watched her go in and out of many abusive relationships in my childhood, and I think I learned that, and I just thought that's how you get what you want. But then it kind of dawned on me that I wasn't getting what I wanted. And I think seeing my mom go through a particularly bad relationship in the last couple years really scared me and made me think like, oh, I don't want to end up like that. And she's amazing and she's strong and she's okay now, but it was very scary to see that as an adult and be like, I need to work really hard to avoid these patterns because it just comes so naturally.
And it's really easy to repeat the mistakes or the situations where your parents were in, of course, and it's really hard to break that chain. You do post a lot of pictures of your mom on your Instagram account, beautiful ones from the 70s.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my mom's a big part of my life, and she encouraged me to pursue art and music my whole life, even though, like, we grew up very working class, and we were on welfare and moving around and in and out of relationships. Like, she did a very good job of keeping that alive and kind of like making it clear that being creative was important to her. And she would drive us to auditions and find ways to get us into, like, apply for scholarships for art camp and stuff like that. So she really pushed that, and I wouldn't be an artist if it
First,
wasn't for
first, because of course I don't know you at all. All the information I get about you is what I find on the internet and on your own social media. Is that you have a really strong and special bond with your mom? Then I was actually shocked to find out that she kicked you out of the house when you were young, and then I was like, "What did you do to get that to deserve that?"
I can't say what I did. It was very bad. I can't say it in the interview, but we went through a period where we fought a lot. Like, we have an intense relationship. It's very strong, but it's very intense. And we're both really intense, emotional, overly sensitive people that are very, like, connected and deeply bonded to each other. And I think that we hurt each other's feelings very easily. And when I was a teenager, we really fought a lot, and I was out of control. I was like a bad kid. Like, I dropped out of high school, and I did a lot of drugs and drinking and kind of other bad behavior, and she didn't know what to do with me. And that was what she was like as a kid, too. She dropped out of high school. My dad dropped out of high school. So it was like I was repeating my parents' life, but they definitely wanted more for me. And
So how did you break that? I mean, how did you get out of that situation? Because normally it spirals just downwards, and for some reason you probably you got to your senses. I don't know how to put this. And you were like, I'm not going to do this anymore.
yeah, I hit like a very rock bottom very early in my life. I was 17. My mom had kicked me out of the house because we had a big fight, and I was drinking really crazy amounts of alcohol and doing some drugs, and I just hit a bottom, and I kind of went in and out of like detox facilities and was just really lost and depressed. And I wasn't in school. I was working a retail job, and I had like a moment where I had just gotten out of a rehab type of place, and I was in my little apartment that I had moved into with some friends, and my life had gotten very dark, and I think I thought I'm gonna apply to this art school. It's a free art school in New York, and if I get in, then I'm gonna give myself a chance, and if I don't, I'm gonna give up. That was kind of like I got to this point where I was like, I'm ready to give up. I'm gonna give one last hard try and see if what will happen. It was really hard school to get into because it's free, and then I got in.
Wow.
And so then, I mean, it wasn't just like, and then everything was solved. I then had to go through school, and I struggled through school. It was really difficult, and I had no money, and I was living in New York and still struggling, but I got through it, and I slowly got better and better, and I got into art and painting and music and met really good friends, and my school really helped me too. There was like a good system there. They knew I was struggling, and they really tried to get me through it.
Wow.
So it's been like a long journey, and I'm still, not perfect at all. I struggle with those things still, but I'm much more in control now. And I have this thing now. I have my music world, my job as a musician, that really does help me stay grounded, because it's like that's my thing and that's what I have. And if I'm struggling, I'll write songs, and then I can send them to the label, and it turns into something productive, and I have this system now.